let's get curious with the book of what if. Today's what if question is, what if the internet were never created? Now, terrifying for a lot of people out there, right? Well, since the birth of human communication, in other words, since the birth of humans, we've been searching for better and better ways to talk to each other quickly and in synchrony at the same time. In the winter of 1790, Claude Chappe and his brothers built their first prototype telegraphs. These communication tools could be used to send messages across long distances by having operators look at far-off towers with swinging arms. The position of the arms corresponded to the letters in the alphabet. Give the signal for a letter with one of the towers. Someone a long way away looks out of their own tower, sees the letter, and marks it down. This goes on until the receiving tower has all the letters, and therefore the message. So again, they're sending a message by sending one letter at a time until they get the whole message sent. If the message is going to another tower in the line of towers, then the receiving operator has to use their own tower's arms to send the message. Then another tower down the line has to look out, see the message, and mark it down and repeat. So you can imagine sending messages from tower to tower to tower over the horizon. You can imagine how slow and tedious this must have been. And since this relay system was all based on humans looking out windows at towers in the distance, weather could ruin the cross-country communication. This was the beginning of the internet. Weird signal towers scattered around France. As time progressed, so did our communications inventions. Chappe invented code books so users could encode their messages into something shorter for cost and privacy. For example, Chappe might send ABDS on a visual telegraph, which could mean, isn't Napoleon kind of short? This is the real power of visual telegraphs, and starting in the 1830s, electric telegraphs. The inventors and users had created a sort of language, patterns of visual and auditory clues and symbols for sending and receiving messages. That's exactly what the internet is. Working at CERN, a research laboratory where scientists study the structure of the universe by smashing elementary particles together, in 1989, Tim Berners-Lee created a language for computers to talk to each other. That language became what we know as the internet. We now have a global communication system where if you can get to a connected device, you can learn and do almost anything. You can send messages almost instantly, watch cat videos, do research for homework, and learn how to build rockets. But if something were to have stopped its creation, where do you think we'd be today? How much harder would it be to solve global problems or even think about things on the other side of the world? What would we do for fun without the internet? Right? Lots of crazy things to think of. And we do have some student readers who chimed in and they said, well, Garrett said, without the internet, life would not be proceeding as fast and as efficiently as it is. Connor says, many people will suffer from their lack of information. John Ryan says, I'd play Pokemon all the time with all of my friends. Some interesting thoughts on what would happen if there were no internet. But it is curious to think that Connor, I think, said many people would suffer from their lack of information. So it makes you wonder, now that you do have access to the internet, how are you using it? Are you using it for watching cat videos and playing games? Or are you using it to get more information and to make yourself or the world better? So there is a technical corner about the internet. So when you type an address into your browser or when an app or an application, you're using pics up data from its servers. A server is just another computer. What happens behind the scenes when you do this? Well, everything connected to the internet has an address. Kind of like how everywhere that gets mail has an address. Your application sends a request to the device. It's on saying, hey you, I want to go look at something at XYZ address. Your device says, will do, one moment. It talks to what is called a DNS. A DNS is a server that has a bunch of address information. So if you're looking for google.com, a DNS will respond with the internet address for Google. That way, your device knows where to send more requests. Think about it this way. If you're sending a letter to your friend, you need to know where your friend lives before you can send the letter. So you can ask your parents, where does my friend live? They'll let you know so you can label your letter and then send it off. Now that your device has the address to send the request your app had, your device breaks the message down into small packets. Each of these gets sent out to the internet with a designation address. Back to the physical letter example. Imagine that when you're sending your letter, the post office makes you cut your letter up into 10-word chunks, each with its own envelope, each marked with your friend's address. That's what happened when internet-connected devices talk to each other. They break up messages into smaller packets and send them all. The internet is a network of networks. Look at a spider web sometime. It has connected strings that go all over the place. That's what the internet looks like, a bunch of crazily connected strings. As your packets go out onto the internet, they get transferred around and around until they reach their destination. Just like small post offices send letters to larger hubs, which in turn send your letters to other hubs, and eventually to your friend's local hub, then to your friend's door, the internet does the same, routing messages through local, regional, and then local hubs. When your messages get received by the server, it reads them and decides if it wants to send something back. If it does, then a new message gets created and sent back through the spider web of networks until it hits the device you're using. Your device notifies your application saying, hey there, I just got this back for you. Your application then does whatever it needs to do with the information, maybe showing you a web page or updating its memory. Back to the physical mail. When your friend gets all of those messages from you, he or she has to put them back together to read your letter. Then, if you ask your friend to answer a question for you, he or she will need to write a response letter, cut it up, and then send all the messages through the mail, all the way through the system until the messages arrive at your house to be read by you. So now you can kind of see how the internet corresponds or relates to look similar to a physical letter being sent or mailed. Now for an activity, let's see if you can do a day without connectivity. Your challenge, if you're brave enough to accept it, is to go an entire day without connectivity. That means no internet, no smartphones, no Xbox Live, and no tablets. Whatever will you do? In your journal, write out how you plan to spend your day of no connectivity, and then, after the day is over, how you did spend your day. What was it like? What did you plan to do? What did you do? Be really curious to see and learn more about how you would spend your day if there were no internet. As always, stay curious.